Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is @ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather or the gym.
Hi there, a very warm welcome to the Racing Post US Masters Postcast. Yes, the action starts on Thursday. I'm Bruce Millington, and in the company of my Racing Post colleagues Steve Palmer and Joe Champion, as well as Paddy Power's golf guru Ian McLaughlin, we will be looking at all the best bets from the outright to the winning score to the top amateur and anything else the lads have dug out. Hopefully you've all had a good look at your Racing Post 28-page Masters Guide. A fantastic effort by the lads on the sports desk. There's some real gems in there. It's all on the website as well, racingpost.com. Just click on the sport. So we are well covered. Steve Palmer, I believe you're going to be bringing us all the action in a special blog on Sunday as well. Are you looking forward to that?
So I hear, yeah. I won't be watching much golf. I'll be blogging. I'll just be staring at my keyboard.
No, you can watch and blog, mate. Honestly, I'm sure you're.
All right, we'll see how it goes.
You're multi-skilled. Yeah. Okay, right. Before we get stuck into who the best bets are, Ian, take us away with a nice big show of betting from Paddy Power on the Masters.
Sure. We're 8 places for the outright betting in the Masters this year, and Jordan Speedheads are betting at 10-1. Next in is Justin Thomas, 11-1. Tiger Woods, 12-1. Justin Rose, 12-1. Rory McIlroy, 12-1. Dustin Johnson, 13-1. Bubba Watson, 16-1. Jason Day, 16-1. Phil Mickelson, 16-1, and it's 22-1 bar.
I suppose then, Ian, there's a kind of big 9, isn't there, if you include down to lefty, isn't there?
Yes.
How much of the book would they be taking out? It looks to my untrained eye to be sort of heading towards somewhere between 40 and 50%, isn't it? So it's kind of...
You wouldn't be far off with that. The likes of McIlroy obviously would take a large chunk of that. Obviously with Steve's main bet, that's going to take a bit of liability as well. Of the rest of the front 9, I'd say Spieth is becoming popular as the week kind of progresses. The old Sky flashbacks to 2015 and stuff like that are going through people's minds now, and they'll see that and they'll kind of go, right, well, he's got a great record round here, and his liability will slowly churn up as the week goes on. So
it's actually probably a shade of odds on that one of those 9 wins it. Steve, do you think one of them will win it, and if so, who?
I wouldn't like to say for certain, but obviously very, very, very likely. I think Justin Thomas is the man to beat this year. I think he should be favourite. I'm surprised he's not. Been playing consistently better than anyone for a very long time now. 6 wins since the start of last year, and the tournaments he's been winning have been progressively getting better, more prestigious ones. Obviously, the USPGA Championship in August. Then he won a FedEx Cup playoff event soon after that. Became FedEx Cup champion. So he's become a winning machine. He's in the got the winning habit. Confidence is flooding through his system, and I think people are getting a little bit hung up on supposed lack of course experience with Thomas because he's only played there twice. But plenty of people have won early in their Augusta careers. Jordan Spieth did it on his second visit. Danny Willett, of course, did it on his second visit.
He didn't play very well, though, did he, Steve, to be fair, in the last 2 years?
No, 39th and 22nd is progressive, and it paints the picture of a player learning the course. And he was 6th for greens in regulation last year, so he didn't play badly at all from tee to green. He just didn't have a good putting week, and his putting stroke has improved in the last 12 months, and he's much more confident on the greens now. I expect him to putt much better. I expect him to perform from tee to green in a similar fashion to last year. And I think he's by far the most likely to do his running, to use a horse racing expression. Is that a horse racing expression?
Not really.
We know. He might come in his coat or something. Is that a better one?
I hope he doesn't.
I don't know what that means. I've never known what that means. But yeah, I think he's of all those 9 you mentioned. I think he's the one that it would shock me if he's not in the mix on
oh,
Sunday.
Really?
Yeah. So
okay. So
yeah, I think he should be favourite. Yeah. Sorry, I'll stop rambling.
That's all right. No, all good stuff, Steve. Joe, who's your main pick?
Well, I was all over Jordan Spieth before the Houston Open and just hoping he was showcasing some form there. Unfortunately, he showed a bit too much, and now the price has gone. I mean, I wonder whether he might be a couple of points bigger if he didn't drain that part on 18. But yeah, the one I really like now is Justin Rose. I think he's such a solid performer around here. You know, he's last 3 Augusta starts, lost in the playoff, of course, against Garcia, 10th and 2nd before that as well. Already a major champion as well, so he hasn't got that in the back of his mind. But the Masters is the one he really wants. He's confident about going to Augusta as well. And he saw his mate Sergio. He saw firsthand Sergio do it last year, so he believes it's his time to do it. You know, he's played really well. 5th at Valspar, 3rd at Bay Hill, and his putting strokes improved a lot this year. He's 13th on the tour in strokes gained putting.
Okay, right then. Ian, I know whenever we've done postcasts in the past with you, you've always expressed an absolute undying love for Jordan Spieth. Are you keeping the faith with him this time?
I'll still be getting involved, but I'm quite more lukewarm to his chances than I am most years. I'm usually very bullish. My main tip is actually Jason Day. I think he's tracking nicely into a big performance here this week. He's had 7 tries around Augusta, bar one withdrawal. He's had 7 top 30s, including the second in 2011 behind Charles Schwartzel, a third behind Adam Scott in 2013. Now, he was long odds on when he found the 15 green and 2 that year. It looked like he was just going to win by a couple of shots. Obviously, I think he was 3 over for the last 3 holes and kind of fell behind Angel Cabrera and Adam Scott in the playoff itself. He's had 5 top 12 finishes this year, including the win at Torrey Pines and a runner-up finish at Pebble Beach. He's arguably got the best short game on tour. He's first in strokes gained putting, and he's 10th in the top 10 in strokes gained around the greens. I think he can make his score around the par 5s with that high ball flight with a draw. The suits is set up very well. I think if things gets tough around the weekend, he can kind of hang around as well. He ranks highly in the approach game and greens and regulation, another aspect that you need around here. I just think he's a very, very solid player around that 16, 18 to 1 mark. When
did you start fancying him, Ian? When did you shun Jordan?
It was actually just when I was pricing the tournament last Thursday. I was just looking. I couldn't see why Day had such a discrepancy between himself. Like, you could say arguably himself and Thomas are having the same year. I know Steve makes the point about the progression of Thomas around Augusta. I was just looking. Day has that already proven form around Augusta. He's playing well. He's trying to keep himself fresh for these kind of bigger events. He hasn't played since the Arnold Palmer. He's played the match play, but he hasn't played a stroke play event since the Arnold Palmer. I think he's just tracking himself nicely into a big year, and I think it starts here this week.
And Ian, I think you're from the Steve Palmer school of punting. You do like to give it a good lick, don't you? So
I try to.
How much would Day win you? A motor car? A holiday?
I'm off on holiday to Portugal next week, so I should pay for that, and then probably another one if I want to have another one after that as well.
Beautiful.
Portugal's lovely. I'm a big fan of Portugal. Yeah, I think it's the strokes gained on approach stat, which probably the reason there's such a big price discrepancy between Thomas and Day. I mean, Day is outside the top 180 in the strokes gained on approach statistic this year, and last year wasn't much better. He seems to have lost his iron play for some reason, and that is absolutely the most important department of the game for Augusta. So Justin Thomas is 5th in strokes gained on approach, and as I say, Day is outside the top 180. So I think Day needs to recover his iron play from sort of 2016 if he's going to be a factor this week. But obviously a class 8, and you can't rule him out.
Out of those top 9 then, lads, which is the one player that you would be least inclined to back? We'll start with you, Steve.
Well, with a heavy heart, I have to say Tiger Woods, because inevitably during all the hysteria of the comeback, the odds have shortened to sort of crazy levels now. If I was betting with my heart, I'd have everything I own on Tiger Woods. I'd probably cry like a baby if he wins on Sunday night.
Who do you like best, Tiger Woods or Michael van Gerwen?
That's a great question, isn't it? What a fantastic question. Yeah, I suppose Michael van Gerwen won me some more money a couple of days ago. He won another tournament in Germany. He's won the last 2 in Germany. Yeah, I think Michael's edging it at the moment. Yeah, but it'd be a very emotional night on Sunday if Tiger wins. But you cannot rule him out, but the prices, unfortunately, are just too short now. I was at a wedding last week, and everyone wanted to talk to me about Tiger Woods. Inevitably, is Tiger Woods going to do it? Is Tiger Woods going to? And bookmakers aren't stupid. Ian McLaughlin is not stupid, and he knows that
debatable.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what price he puts against Tiger's name. Loads of people are going to be backing him this week. So, as a professional tipster, I couldn't go anywhere near those odds.
Who could you not go near, Joe, out of those front few?
I can't really have McIlroy at the prices. I mean, there was a massive move for him after his win at Bay Hill, but what really happened there was he putted exceptionally in the final round. I mean, I think his strokes gained putting were through the roof, and it's so hard to replicate that, especially at a course where he hasn't done that well in recent years. He had a big chance to win here a few years back, and is it in his head a bit, Augusta, maybe?
Okay, so
he's never putted as well as he did at Bay Hill. Joe, that was his best putting performance ever statistically.
Yeah,
and very, very different greens. It was quite a soft course at Bay Hill, and he could really attack with the putter. Yeah. If he attacks with the putter at Augusta, he's in big trouble. He's in 3 putt every green. So totally different putting challenge. And you're right, probably shouldn't get too hung up on that Bay Hill performance. McIlroy's iron play hasn't been that fantastic over the course of the last few months, and as I say, that's the most important department of the game for Augusta.
Okay, and Ian, who's your one to avoid out those front few?
I'd agree with Steve at Tiger's price, really. I think if the course stays firm and fast for the week, he could be a factor if he can just keep the driver in the bag, use that 2-iron, and his short game has been rejuvenated the last year. But I think just at the prices, I agree with Steve. It's a kind of a crazy price, and you're happy to lay at that sort of odds.
Is he a bad result for you, Ian?
Not at the moment, but I'm sure he will be. If he goes out in 32 in the front 9 on Thursday, that liability will go up through the roof, I'd say. OK,
well, obviously, as you see, bookmakers are paying a ridiculous number of places this year. So there's some incentive to get stuck into some of the bigger priced golfers at each way and hope for a bit of place bounty. And, of course, we've had some big price winners recently at the Masters. It's not a tournament where the front runners the front runners in the market traditionally absolutely boss it. So who are the best value outsiders? Steve Palmer.
I think Patrick Reed at 50-1 is the best value outsider. I mean, this is a man who's proven on the big stage. His performances in the Ryder Cup are just something special. He's called Captain America for a very good reason. When he stared down Rory McIlroy in that singles match a couple of years ago, I mean, yeah, this is a man with proper minerals, as they say. And you forget how young he is. If I asked you how old Patrick Reed was, what would you say?
I'd say he's 27.
You've got a computer in front of you.
I haven't, no.
That's absolutely spot on. Good guess. But he's been around a long time.
Yeah, he's the Paul Keeley of golfers, isn't he? He looks older than he is.
He does look a bit old and porky around the chops. And, he's still a very, very, very young man in terms of golfers. And he hasn't played in that many majors. And he's done OK in the ones that he has played. And he finished second in his last one, the USPGA, behind Justin Thomas. And I just think he's proven he's got the guts. And if he was in contention on Sunday night, I'd be confident that he would hold his position. And crucially, this season, he's really got his equipment sorted out. He left Callaway and then spent a few weeks testing various things. And he's been really happy in the last month or so with his equipment. And his results have improved. He had a good winning chance at the Valspar. And he's just been playing great for the last few weeks, and he's got a game very well suited to the shape of Augusta. He likes to hit that big slinging draw off the tee, which suits the shape of most holes at Augusta. And obviously, his short game is fantastic. I think the reason he is 50-1 is because he's played there 4 times and not really made an impression, but he's never arrived in such good form as this time.
OK, Joe, who's your pick of the outsiders?
I like one. It's one of Ian's favourites. It's Bryson DeChambeau.
Yes.
Yeah, someone who contended really well as an amateur on his debut here. He finished tied 21st in the end. He's really improving this season. His long game's improved a lot. He's driving it better, he's driving it further. And it's a second shot course, Augusta, so his iron play's been excellent. My big worry for him would be the putting, but that's factored into the price.
He's a slow bastard, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, they all are pretty much. But
everything has to fall right for him, doesn't it?
It's as if he's waiting for the grass on the greens to grow.
He has to get out his
slow
protractor.
Him down
but his Bay Hill performance, where you look at who contended at Bay Hill, he had McIlroy, Rose, Woods, Stenson all in the mix, and he stayed with them. He finished second to McIlroy. And that's a great piece of form, really, under the circumstances. OK, well, he's around about 80-1, I think. Is there a bit of thunder stealing gone on there, Ian?
A little bit, but there's going to be more thunder stealing because I'm going to pick one that I know Steve likes as well, and it's Patrick Cantlay. Now
He's even slower than
we were so far under him in the market at the start of the week. I've christened him Patrick Won't Lay because we won't lay a penny on him at the prices we're currently at. So I'll reinforce Steve's point he's probably going to make after this. His first win came in November. He followed up with this is one that kind of caught my eye, a 4th place at Riviera in February. And Riviera is a course, I think I mentioned it last year, a course that correlates very well with Augusta. He's an elite ball striker, like a greens and regulation machine. I think he ranks 4th in greens and regulation in his last 10 tournaments played. I think he just needs a decent week on the greens to contend, like even an average week. He's not the greatest putter in the world, but a decent week, and he should hang around there. He's very mentally tough. Won't fear the big occasion. He puts himself in that position to win, and he just reminds me a lot of Thomas Peters coming into this tournament last year. Showing up on those type of courses, won't fear the big occasion. I think he can go well at a big price. OK,
and Steve, I think you'd echo that, wouldn't you?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, I think he's an absolute Iceman, Cantlay. He's got that real look about him that he's an absolute cool dude. And I was on him for that Riviera event, and he played well in that. And as you say, there are ties to Augusta. My biggest concern with Cantlay was when I saw the draw yesterday and saw that he had Poulter with him. I mean, Poulter's the sort of character that could get wound up by Cantlay playing slow. And if Cantlay is one of the slowest out there at the moment, and Poulter's the sort of bloke that would love to make a big scene about it, isn't he? So as long as Poulter doesn't, as long as Poulter's not too much of an arse, I can see Cantley getting
That's
right
long
in the
odds
mix.
on to happen, though, him being an arse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was on Bo Hostler on Sunday, and so that moment when Poulter nailed that putt on 18 and beat his chest,
sickening, isn't it?
Absolutely sickened me to my very core.
Same.
Any other outsiders you want to mention, Joe?
Not particularly. I agree with Steve.
Rightio. Steve, you got one more, haven't you, that you tipped up that we should know
I think
about?
Russell Henley got progressive Masters form figures, played really good on Sunday, shot a 65 in Houston, which is a similar sort of track to this one. Henley's 100 to 1. He's still 100 to 1 with Paddy Power.
Okay, jolly good. And last call for outsiders, Ian. One to give yourself a chance to make a name for yourself. Who have you got?
I like Kevin Chappell at a big price. I was worried about his back, but he was interviewed yesterday on the Masters on the Range show that goes out on Sky Sports Golf, and he was saying he played 54 holes already this week, so that shows me that his back is in more than good shape. He's about 125 to 1. He's out early tomorrow. He could get out in front. He was 7th here last year. I think he's obviously an elite ball striker again. He's just another one who just needs to have some sort of a week on the greens. I think he'll go well at a big price.
Okay, right, that's the outrights done. Let's look at some of the other markets next.
Success ain't earned, it's bought. That's why at Paddy Power, we paid the big bucks for the best tech nerds in the world to develop our new, fastest ever app. Download the new app from the App Store or Play Store now. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Okay, let's look at some of the top, the sort of segments where the bookmakers split them up into top American, top European, top Dane, top amateur, top debutant, you name it. There is a top market for it. Let's do top American first. Ian, give us some latest Paddy Power prices.
Yeah, sure. We're enhanced place here as well. We're 5th, 5 places in this market. And Jordan Spieth heads at the betting again at 11 to 2. Justin Thomas next in 6 to 1. Tiger Woods 13 to 2. Dustin Johnson 13 to 2. And it's 17 to 2 bar.
And when you look at top American, Steve, is there a kind of just straight? Would you rather pick the American that you've tipped out right at big prices at shorter odds, or what do you look at here?
Well, I normally look at the market, and particularly in this case, in that I've got 4 Americans as my outright tips, and just say, there's no point getting involved. My bets are on the outright market, and the top American market holds no appeal. But I did notice this morning that Patrick Reed was 25 to 1 standout price with Paddy Power. So with the extra place terms as well, then I would recommend that as a very, very solid bet.
Okay, Joe, your outright tip is an Englishman, the fine young man Justin Rose. So who do you think will be top American?
Yeah, I've already mentioned Bryson DeChambeau, of course, but Matt Kuchar is a big price, I think. He's just a rock-solid each-way player, isn't he? He might not win the tournament, but then hopefully he gets beaten by a European player and ends up becoming top American by finishing 2nd or 3rd.
Okay.
He's...
Well, he was
4
so.
top
I mean,
10s in 6 years at Augusta.
I have him down not as a choker, but as someone who's slightly brittle. But I thought against Spieth.
Kuchar.
Yeah, exactly. I thought
Kuchar.
Against Spieth last year when they were, going for it. When Spieth smashed it over into the muck and was messing around. I thought actually Kuchar didn't really wilt there. He just found Spieth too good for him. And there's a few. One of the great things in the Racing Post Masters Guide is what the odds makers say, the behind enemy lines, where the odds compilers like Ian and all his counterparts at other firms give you their best bets. And a couple of people are very sweet on Kuchar as well in various markets. So there's a few shrewdies fancy Kuchar. Who would be your top American pick, Ian?
I like Kuchar as well. I wouldn't class myself, again, it's debatable whether I'm a shrewdy or not. Again,
You are officially shrewd.
I'll reinforce Joe's point. It's one of the markets I looked a bit deeper into. I could find holes in some of the front end of the market, and just looking through Kuchar's record here, like he's 4 top 8 finishes. He was actually top American last year. He's placed 4 times in the last 6 years in this market. I think he had a nice pipe opener last week in the Houston Open. Again, it was a similar kind of looked like he was going to challenge for the wing heading into the back 9 and kind of just wilted slightly, finished 8th. I think it's tough for him to win these days, but I think he can fill the places. And if it's one of those weeks where the front end kind of struggle, I think he might be able to nip top American. And the second one is Gary Woodland. Now I see prices around 80 to 1 on this market. I just like him around this course. I think it was 5 or 6 years ago where he went on a birdie blitz one Saturday afternoon. I think I've been in love with him ever since around here. He won a Phoenix with a fine around 64. He ranks very highly in the necessary ball striking stats that you need around here. Good good strokes gain approach, good greens and regulation. I think he's just a similar profile to Kuchar, where it's difficult to see him win the outright, but I can see him contend in these sort of markets.
Can you stop making such good cases, you lot? I'm going to have about 300 bets. It's ridiculous. Now, Steve, I'm very interested to know. Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm very interested to know what your thoughts are on top European, because obviously your 4 outright tips are all homegrown players. So who do you like in top Euro?
Yeah, again, it's a very hugely competitive market, which always frightens me. But I think I'll overlook the short prices. I think McIlroy and Rose, obviously, you've got to respect. But Thomas Pieters stands out to me in this market at 20-1. Thomas Pieters finished 4th on debut last year, instantly fell in love with the course, which was kind of expected because it suits him down to the ground. He's got effortless power. He's got the putting touch. He's got a lovely combination of skills for Augusta. And although he hasn't done a great deal in the last few weeks, he's the sort of player that can find form out of nowhere. And particularly in big events, his record in the most prestigious events is good. And he struggles to get his juices flowing for your rubbish ones like your Czech Masters and whatnot. So... yeah, I think Thomas Pieters is the best value for top European.
OK, and Champ, you're nodding away there.
Yep, yeah, we're overlapping here. I like
agree
Pieters
completely. Yeah, I've got down 4th on Augusta debut. Loves the big stage.
Blimey. So if Thomas Pieters was standing on the stage at X Factor or Britain's Got Talent, it sounds like he's got 3 yeses, doesn't it, Ian?
Yes,
get the golden
absolutely.
buzzer.
Gold buzzer, exactly, yeah. I like Pieters too, and my main one was actually was Sergio Garcia in this market. I feel he's a big price in this market as well as in the outright for like a defending champion coming in with 3 top 10s in a row. I was looking through his I was looking through what you need around here, like the iron play, the tee to green game, greens and regulation, and he's 1st, 2nd, and 5th in those. I just don't think he's getting the respect he deserves. I heard people talking about like defending champion. He'll have a lot of duties as a defending champion during the week, but I was thinking, well, he's been to 8 or 9 Ryder Cups where it's a week-long ceremonial. A lot of duties around that as well. So I don't think that's really going to affect him at all. All things are good in his personal life with a new wife and child. I think he's a danger in any market he's in this week, to be honest.
And
I had a good look at Sergio, Ian. I did have a good look. Did you see he's taking his baby with him? His baby's coming with him on the plane with him.
Yeah, Azalea.
She's called Azalea, isn't she?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I wonder what sort of effect that will have on him. And I wondered if... all the talk of Tiger Woods is unsettling him as well. Tiger Woods hates Sergio Garcia. There's no getting away from that.
Yeah.
And, they're just passing Tiger Woods on the putting green or whatever. I think that might give Garcia a bit of a negative. I try and get in the heads of these players, and I just found a couple of things that put me off Sergio Garcia. But everything on paper, I agree with you. He must have a good chance of a title defence.
The trouble is, Steve, you benchmark all these other golfers against yourself, and much as I love you, you are quite an unusual character. So the way you think isn't the way they necessarily think.
No, I've got them sussed. Don't worry.
Ian, do you give any credence to the old Keith Elliott nappy factor? Obviously, like I say, little Azalea popped out into this world a couple of weeks ago.
It wouldn't be massively into my compiling when I'm doing a tournament, but it's something I'd go, well, that's probably a plus for a player. It's not. I wouldn't go 4 or 5 ticks lower in the market if he's had a child.
Well, it worked for Danny Willett, didn't he? But Danny Willett left his baby at home, his wife and baby at home. Right. Garcia's taken both of his over, so I wonder whether he's going to get enough sleep, to be honest.
All right, I'm sure they do have nannies, Steve.
That's true, yeah.
They can afford staff, mate. Now, I've got a quick quiz question for you. So, Sergio Garcia's baby's called Azalea. Can you think of another golfer who gave their child a golf-related name?
Webb Simpson. It's Wyndham, isn't it?
That's excellent. That's right. Yeah, that really? Is. Yeah.
I was thinking of Jesper Parnevik, who I believe called his daughter Pebble Peach.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. I mean, to be fair, that would tally with.
I thought you were going to say he called her TaylorMade or something like that.
No, Pebble Peach. Okay, right. Where are we now? Any other tops? So you could, like I say, everything from top debutant to top amateur to top Korean. Champ, you go first.
I quite like Kiradech Afibanrat in top Asian, the big Thai. Hideki Matsuyama makes that market, and I'm such a big fan of him, but he's come into this tournament with an interrupted preparation, wrist injuries, and so he's around the even money mark. Afibanrat's 4-1, and there's not a lot else to beat in that. The Japanese tour players, they don't tend to do that well. Siwoo Kim's got injury problems all the time. Shubhankar Sharma's here on debut, so yeah, I'll take Afibanrat at 4-1.
He'd be quite a good bet for the old top tub as well, wouldn't he? Who else would be in that market, Steve? Top tubby golfer. The Barnrat would be in there, wouldn't he?
He certainly would, but it's glandular, isn't it? He gets a lot of stick, the poor fella, but it's a condition rather than just eating too many pies.
Oh, fair
so
no, I wasn't passing judgment. I think he's great. I love the barn rat. He's a top man. Who are your tops, Steve?
My top is Xander Schauffele for top debutant. The general 7-2. I think when you come to Augusta for the first time, you're obviously a bag of nerves, and getting to the greens unscathed is the toughest challenge. And Xander Schauffele is a greens in regulation machine. A very, very tight, solid long game. And when he stands on that first tee, he won't have that fear that the rest of the debutants are having. He'll expect to find the fairways. And just been in rock solid form for a long time. He won the Tour Championship in Georgia, crucially in the same state as Augusta at the end of last season. And it's quite a weak section. This last
Who's
year
the
we
jolly?
had. He is fractionally jolly he's jostling with Tony Finau for favouritism. But you remember last year we had Thomas Pieters and John Rahm, and we had a good set of debutants. This year they're very unimpressive. It won't take much winning this market. It's almost an each way bet to nothing if you somehow find 4-1 somewhere. There's a million bookmakers out there these days, isn't there?
Blimey, who'd have thought it would take so long for John Rahm to get a mention? I mean, he's gone right off the boil, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's way down the bend now, isn't he? But he's had a few weekend wobbles, unfortunately. But no, he'll come good soon. But yeah, Schauffele top debutant's a very solid wager.
Righty-ho. Well, they've certainly got you given betting shop punters a test here. We've got Affid Barnrat from Joe, and we've got Schauffele from Steve. Who have you got?
I'm not going to help either. I'm not going to help either. I know it's one Steve likes as well. It's Joaquin Niemann in the top amateur market.
Is that how you pronounce Joachim?
Is it Joachim or Joaquin? I think it's Joaquin.
Is it? I'll be going Joaquin.
I've been going Joaquin was in Joaquin Phoenix.
Have you? No,
that's probably incorrect. Maybe. I'm just going.
What about
phonetics.
Julian Joachim? Do you remember him? The Leicester player?
Yes, that's the Villa legend.
That complicates the pronunciation a bit, doesn't it? But the key is Niemann, isn't it? And
yes.
Ian, you're not the first person to tip him. Steve, you've gone for him as well, and I think a few people think he should be odds on, shouldn't he?
Yeah, we're 11 to 10. It's probably one I'll probably make odds on. But I think I was looking into the market. I think it's a match between himself and Doug Ghim. I know Doc Redmond, won the US Amateur, but he chinned Ghim. I think Ghim was 3 up with 3 to play, and the occasion kind of got the Ghim, and Redmond just chinned him. And the negative for Redmond, he's going to be he's going to be with Garcia. He's going to be with Garcia and Justin Thomas. I think he's with tomorrow and Friday. Obviously, that's a massive occasion, big crowds. I think I put a line through him on the back of that almost. The next three. The pronunciation, Yuxin Lin, I think I got that right. Harry Ellis and Matt Parzial, who's a mid-amateur. He's a firefighter. Those three, I think you put a line through those 4, and it's just basically a match between Niemann and Ghim. I think Niemann is the better operator than Ghim.
Okay, so really interesting market this year, because you've got a fireman, as you say, and a doctor as well, haven't you?
That's right, yeah.
It's astonishing. Okay, we'll take a break.
Every year, top amateur. Sorry,
it does.
It's another really weak section. They invite. We'll get an invite soon. It's poor, and Niemann is clearly class, so go for it.
Is that because they're all turning pro earlier, Steve, to get their hands on all that money that's sloshing around the game now?
Yeah, that's possibly the case.
Yeah,
there's a lot of mercenaries out there, isn't there?
Okay, let's get some more tips in just a mo.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet then next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, lads, give us your other tips that you want to mention that aren't your nap. So winning score, any other remaining tops, place to make the cut. First round leader, of course. We've got to talk about first round leader. Let's do that one first, actually. Ian, have you got some first round leader prices?
Sure. And again, we're enhanced here, 8 places. Jordan Spieth again, he's going to head most markets at 14 to 1. Rory McIlroy next in at 16 to 1. Justin Thomas 18 to 1. Justin Rose 18 to 1, Dustin Johnson 18 to 1, and 20 to 1 bar.
Now, come on in. It's a Postcast tradition. We have to know what price the Hoff is for first round leader. Charlie Hoffman, please.
We've buried the Hoff. He's 33 to 1.
33 to 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's going to be first round leader, Steve?
Very good question. Obviously, a very difficult market. Hard to be confident, but I thought Adam Hadwin was the one that stood out for me. A player that can get on a really magnificent burst of short-term scoring. He shot a 59 last year in the Career Builder Challenge. Fantastic short game. He's had a spin round the Augusta last year. Quite a creditable 36th position. And in good form, in really good steady form of late. And I can see Hadwin making a very fast start and winning this market at a very, very juicy price.
Is there a particular time you want to be going out, Steve, here for first round historically, or is it fairly random?
I think later starters have done well actually,
and
statistically. But I looked at the weather, and there's hardly anything in it
very
tomorrow.
Cold early on, though, isn't it? I think so.
Cold earlier.
Wow.
Yeah, that should favour the later starters when it warms up.
It's not be cold, is it, Joe? I mean,
for Augusta standards.
Well, cold for Augusta. I mean, I want to try living in this country. It's horrendous. Joe, who's going to be first round leader?
Yeah, I liked one at Steve's Park on the outright. Patrick Cantlay. He's this season he's not shot higher than 70. On the PGA Tour in his opening round, and 266s in his last 3 starts. So he starts off quickly, and he's got a sort of midday tee time. So
well, you say starts off quickly, one of the slowest players in the game.
Well, yeah.
Let's hope that Poulter doesn't get into his ribs early on. Ian, have you got a fancy for us on this one?
It's not a market I get too heavily into every year. I think I've done my dough the last 7 or 8 years. But 2 flyers, I'd probably put up Woodland and Jimmy Walker. 2 are capable of a fast start.
And it's an increasingly popular
Very
market
popular
this way,
market,
isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially now with the 8 places this year, it's one people are getting stuck into for sure.
No one's got any patience these days, have they, Steve?
No.
Why can't you just wait till Sunday, eh? Have you got anything else for us, Steve, that we should know about? Like I say, that isn't your nap.
I'm not sure I have. I'm a very selective punter these days. I don't bet on hardly anything. I genuinely don't. I just bet big on what I do fancy. I've matured, Bruce.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm
You've
pleased.
got your Grace then. It's my daughter. I've matured, Grace. I promise I've matured.
Excellent. Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that, Steve. Joe?
I go back to the tops, really. Joaquin Neerman, I'll be joining the boys on that one. I actually backed him to win the Greenbrier when he came sort of
29th.
29th.
Yeah.
And one round 75 in the 3rd round ruined my chances, but about 1,000 to 1. But
oh, blimey.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a shorter price this
I'll
time.
get my money back here, I think.
You will, okay.
Sure.
And Ian, what about you? What have you got for us?
I'll put up a make the cut treble. It's just 3 guys. I think it's the easiest year to make the cut. There's only 87 runners. About 25 of them can't even make the cut. So I'll go with Kuchar, Cantlay and Peters all to make the cut. If you treble them up, it's about 6-4. I think that's a knock and go.
Can
bet.
you do that? That's not viewed as related contingency, no?
I don't think so. I think the offer I think it's more so for the top finishes, top 10, 20s, the more contingency. Yeah. But the make the cut, you should be able to perm those up.
So who are the 3?
Matt Kuchar, Patrick Cantlay, and Thomas Peters.
Lovely. Okay, right, nap time. Steve, do you want to do us a live rendition?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Go on then. What, have you got a motorbike?
This will not be beaten.
All right.
Will not be beaten. So I'm a bit too into this now, and I've got to stop.
Blimey, Pavarotti,
I'm
eat your heart
well
out.
up for it this week. It's going to be one hell of a tournament, isn't it?
Okay, I think we better let your throat recover, and we'll get Joe's nap first.
Looking at Paddy Power's match bets, Patrick Reed to beat Matsuyama at 6-5. I've already talked about Matsuyama's issues. He could make me look stupid, to be honest. He's such a good player of Augusta, and I think he will win one day. But for now, I'll take Reed to beat him because I think Patrick Reed's been playing so well.
Okay. Sorry, Steve, your singing's done with it.
That's all right. Anytime. I'm here all week.
Ian, what's the nap?
I'll go with Matt Kuchar, top 20 finish. I think it's about 7-4 out there. I think it's picking up off the street. 7 top 25 finishes, 11 starts. Probably his best form coming into the tournament. I think that's a knock and bet.
Lovely stuff. And Steve, last and very much not least, what is your nap for the Masters?
Justin Thomas to finish in the top 10. There's some odds against floating about, particularly on the exchanges. And I think that's enormous. He should be odds on to finish in the top 10. He won't finish outside the top 10. Talk dirty to me.
Okay. And chaps, thank you very much indeed for your input. I hope you all have a fantastic week. Like I say, don't forget, Steve will be doing daily updates on GolfWise Extra throughout the Masters on racingpost.com, and don't miss his blog on Sunday night. Ian, thank you very much. It's been lovely to have you along. I hope you have a great week, and well done, champ. Great stuff from you.
Thank you.
Don't forget, we've got the football postcast on Thursday, the racing postcast on Friday, and have a great week. I hope it all works out for you. Thanks for joining us.
Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather, or the gym.